This conference will now be recorded.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the August 2023 public meeting for the Shelby County Lead Prevention and Sustainability Commission. I call this meeting to order at 6 p.m. on the dot, Central Standard Time. We can go ahead and move into the agenda. Does everyone have a printed copy of the agenda? Okay. We don't have anyone that's online now, but we'll go ahead and start with the first agenda item, which is a roll call. um, Chair Latrice Adams, present. Secretary Matthew Woods. Here, present. Member Dr. Burns. Present. Okay, so we have three LPC members present and currently sorry, all the chimes, and one member from the general public. We do currently have quorum. We also have three LPs. I think, yep, we still got quorum. One, two, three. Is that quorum? Or do we need one more person for quorum? We might need four because we're at 50%. Well, we don't have quorum then because I think we need one more person because we have two members missing. So if that's the case, we won't be able to vote on anything this evening. We'll just be able to provide updates. Um, so I'll go to the next item, which is public comment. Again, we don't currently have anyone that's online. Do we have, Miss Asia, did you have public comment or are you good? I'm good. Okay, all right. So we did have two concerns that were brought forward from our last meeting until today. So one was there was a Valero explosion over in Riverside. This was last month, where essentially from like the South Memphis or the Riverside community, even as far back as like Riverside, like downtown, you can see like all sorts of smoke. So a lot of concern raised from community members. So I did reach out to Dr. Taylor to get some insight around like what should we be conveying in partnership with the health department. And so essentially at that particular point in time, the health department had already released a statement that said that they had to essentially report the issue to EPA and get some additional guidance on how they should move forward. Essentially, because they don't know, they didn't know all of the facts at that time. They didn't want to heighten anxiety before they knew exactly what was going on. Um, and so essentially what we did from an LPC perspective is I just reshared the statement that came from the health department. um, I hadn't honestly done any additional follow up. I can to just follow back up with the community member that raised the concern. But honestly, I hadn't heard much about it anymore. Um, so again, what I can do is reach back out and just get some closure around like what happened. And I'm happy to report that back out. So that happened last month. Last month being in July. Um, Another concern that was brought forward, and this was super recent, this was yesterday. I'm a phrase or frame this to say, I don't know. I'm just going to say how the person told me because I don't know. I don't have the facts. But the concern was there's currently some preliminary stages for a new grocery store in North Memphis, what's District 7. And apparently, where the development is set to take place, there's like a like old industry, so like old like very industrial like looking buildings like behind where the grocery store will be positioned. And so essentially, the individual that made this report did a request to TDEC around that particular site. And so the site apparently, I'm gonna keep saying apparently because I haven't seen the report, I haven't made an entry, but what was reported from this community resident is that based on a report from TDAC, that site does have significant traces of arsenic, copper, And so, it's concern for a grocery store to be in proximity to something that may be toxic. So what I did say, and again, I don't know the facts. I'm happy to follow up. Is depending on how toxic it is, it may need to go on EPA's radar because I don't know. It may qualify for a Superfund site. I don't know, but I do. If this is true, then I too share concern about a grocery store, especially like in that particular district. It's already so much going on with environmental issues. Um, I think if it is indeed true, that maybe a red flag should be raised. So I'll follow back up. I am going to touch base with actually on the city side with Councilwoman Easter Thomas to kind of get some insight there since that's her district, and also Commissioner Brooks. Um, just to kind of get an understanding, like did they even know, like just to kind of get my bearings around what's going on. But oh Lord, I really hope and pray that this is not the case because Lord knows North Memphis has needed a grocery store for so long. And so what also makes me concerned is if this is indeed true, if it's a Superfund site, that's years and years for them to do a cleanup. And so if it has to move to another location, what does that entail? And so I'm just scared that it would be like another gap in time where this particular community still wouldn't have access to a grocery store. What a conundrum. So that was reported literally yesterday. So I'll keep everybody updated on next steps. Um, we do have one additional person to join from the general public. Chet, did you have a public comment? We're still in public comment right now. Or are you good? Oh, hey. Okay. You good? Or
Well, let me make it the end then. Okay.
um I think we could come back at announcements, I guess. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we'll go ahead and move to the third agenda item. We'll table this because we don't have quorum. But for the purposes of the record, agenda item 3 is approval of the minutes from the April 12th, 2023 meeting. I also want to say on the record that we did have what was it, was it a June? Wait, was it a June meeting? No, I think, no. It was a June meeting. When was where we had a storm and the power was out in this building? Was that June? Okay. So we did have a June meeting that was scheduled. But unfortunately, because of a storm, the power was out at this library. And so we just moved the meeting to our recurring meeting to the August meeting. But I wanted to say that on the record. So essentially the same agenda items that we had from the initial June meeting is what we'll be covering tonight. But nevertheless, we'll still table the approval of those April meetings, minutes for the next time we meet in hopes that we will have quorum. All right. So moving to agenda item 4, which is old business. All right. So updates about um, lead testing in daycares and childcare facilities. So at a previous meeting, we talked about there is actual funding. It's not a lot. I think it's like $300,000 for the whole state of Tennessee. So it is not a lot. But nevertheless, there's an article that was shared earlier in like around the late winter, early spring, that not a lot of daycares and childcare facilities had taken advantage of these funds for free testing, but I don't think that they know that it exists. I did have a conversation with some members from TDAC, and interestingly enough, they weren't really that familiar either, like with the program. So it seems to be a breakdown in communication around like accessibility. So I'm still not quite sure like how you access it. I do know for certain that we did have one charter school in Shelby County that did access like this funding to get the testing done. So I don't think they don't allocate the funds to the school or the daycare directly. I think you have to just go through like their protocol. So whoever they contract with, they actually facilitate the testing. So from my understanding, like they will like send you the materials that you need, and then like you would send it off to whoever they're using for their lab, which is fine because it mitigates expenses um, for those childcare facilities. And I think for that particular charter school, they must have a pre-K program in the school where, I mean, that was a win-win. If you got them in the building, then you know
They
you can
do
still be
any,
able to
they
use
give
it.
any money toward fixing it up, or that's just for testing?
That's just for testing.
I think
Mhm.
that was one of the reasons a lot of daycare centers were concerned about getting tested done.
Yeah,
But there's no resources to help them fix the problem.
yeah. I don't even have a comeback for that. I mean, I think at this point we're battling with getting lead service lines replaced where we don't have enough money for that at all. Even with the bipartisan infrastructure law, the Inflation Reduction Act, it's still not enough. But I get what you're saying. So I guess like a point of discussion is like, do we want to? What do we want to do? We want to try to like work with TDEC to try to get it amplified. So if people are interested, they at least know like how to access it. Because even when you go on the website, I personally still didn't understand what I was supposed to do. And I think that I'm pretty astute, and I still didn't get it. Um,
And I'd like to advocate, and I will talk with Kathy and Sharon and them, to see if what role they could play in actually trying to help with get people's concerns down. That if you have an issue, we'll try to help you address it. Because some of the issues is just training and teaching people how to scrape and prime the paint without causing problems.
this is for water, by the way. This
Was
is
this
for
for water?
water. Sorry, I didn't say that. So yeah, this is for water testing.
That would be pretty simple to address. Go to a filter program.
Yeah, yeah.
And Zero Picture has those big pictures they can buy. Have you seen those?
I got one of them out at my house.
I'm talking big pictures like a daycare center, 20 or 30 cups of water out of that. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. So that would be a thing.
Hmm. I wonder even that's still, because how much does that run? Because the one I got is the one that's about $40, $50. With those real big ones, how much is that?
Well, I priced a couple of them. Some of the big ones about $160, $170. But when I say they're big and have filters in them, you that could take care of a whole bunch of kids. You fill it up,
Hmm.
straight when they can you get it. So that would be one of the things they could look at doing.
I wonder, and about how long do they last? About 3 to 6 months, or about how
Well,
long?
that depends, and that's why I said to actually, hey, what's going on, man?
Hi, how you doing?
Uh, that would kind of depend on the area, but that would be because with the Zero Pictures they got the little tester that you can use to
Hmm.
see how well it's doing.
Okay. Yeah, what I was gonna say was I wonder could we advocate like, well, we wouldn't even need to see like what daycares would be interested. What I was wondering was could we advocate like for funding even through county, well, yeah, let's start with county commission. And it doesn't have to be a lot, but like if there
Some
are daycares that are interested, if they can even get like maybe like a $250 grant or something so that they can get the filters should there be an issue where they do have lead in the
and
water.
when they do the testing at the daycare center, they test the water. Are they going to do an evaluation for lead, paint, dust, or these paint chips?
For this particular allocation of funding, no, it's very specific to water. And it came out of that bill that currently exists where initially when the bill was first passed, it wasn't funded. And so both school districts and childcare facilities are not even explicitly included in that bill. But that was one of the areas of pushback was we could do the testing, but we gotta pay for it. And so it made people like more like resistant because it wasn't funded. And so they had to take it out of their own respective budget. Um,
The reason I mentioned paint chips, I don't know if Nita may have shared it with you, but there's been a couple lead poisoned kids from eating paint chips uh, from daycare centers. And I was just thinking maybe we can advocate by informing, not snitching, but letting them know that these problems exist. that they actually maybe get the training where they can kind of address those issues.
Yeah, I hear you, but that's separate than what I'm
Well,
talking about for this item. This item is specifically about water. Yeah. And it's different because water, it doesn't have the same type of rigidity as far as requirements as like K through 12 schools have, because they don't fall within the purview of that particular state statute. But I hear what you're saying, but that's
Another step,
a
yeah.
separate a separate conversation. Um, yeah, back to, so what do y'all think we should do? Should we just focus on like outreach, like trying to get like more daycares like knowledgeable about the program that it actually exists? Did we start at ground one, or did we kind of package it with trying to advocate for some funding? I don't know if we would be successful or how long that would take, because it took what, two years to get this other advocacy with funding available. But just any thoughts on what you think we should do?
I think we should see which childcare programs are interested first,
Okay.
and that might drive the funding.
Mm-hmm.
Not only childcare, but family day homes as well,
Mm-hmm.
because we do have quite a few of those, especially with um, costs being so high.
Okay.
And there are agencies that work directly with childcare programs. Like if you go through childcare licensing, each childcare program has, for those that are licensed, have an evaluator that goes out to the childcare program to make sure that they're under compliance with licensing rules.
Hmm.
That may be um, a way to contact the various childcare program. Also, CCNR, and I'm sorry, I cannot remember what, I'm gonna have to look it up.
Mm-hmm.
They work with childcare programs as well. That may be a way to contact childcare programs. Now, the family day homes, I'm not sure how you can contact them. I think they may be a little more difficult
Mm-hmm.
because unless they're licensed,
Yeah. And I
that's
see
something to
them
keep
being
in mind.
even more like resistant, which is fair.
Also, if you work with those that may have a CACFP sponsor, which is no, child adult care food program. I'm so sorry.
That's
We're
okay.
being recorded. Um, they may also be able to help you as well to get in touch with child care programs.
Okay. I also want to push TDEC to design some type of like literature or something that could be distributed, because I'm not doing that. So I think I can reach back out to them to see if it's, they might not have anything, but I'm gonna see. But if they don't, they should create it, um,
And
and
wouldn't
we
it be
could just distribute it.
too much of a ask, for even when they talk about water, to just mention about the tank and, and the other programs that are concerned about. I just think the opportunity when you're talking about lead, not to mention other things that they might can address, but just a thought.
I think, because I'm trying to make it work with what the actual. I think that's something separate.
Okay.
Um, I'm not saying that we can't, but the purpose was to try to uplift this particular program so that they can access this
Access
money.
that water.
Yeah. Because almost at this point, if they're not doing their due diligence, if they try to ask for it again, they might not get it if you're not using what you already had.
And something happened today that might really help that. At the Shelby County Board of Commissioners, we talked today about water. They actually had me present, and that was one of the big issues, and they were very concerned about uh, the water, what like gas and water wasn't doing, or hadn't
Hmm.
doing. So they might be a good advocate for that, because they, a lot of parents spoke out about autism. Several of them talked about the kids having autism.
Hmm.
So,
Um, I don't even, to be honest, I don't know what type of outreach, if any at all, the state does around lead-based paint. I don't know. They,
Oh, they do outreach, you know, through, and I don't know how much, but
yeah.
we know they do some of that through, programs like they, I guess, giving grants to different people, like Sharon and some of them gotten grants to do just that.
And I know for the health department
Mm-hmm.
specifically, the grant that we have, we have one caseworker, that's all she does is outreach,
Okay.
specifically
For child
for
care.
child
Okay.
yes.
Well, then if that's the case, then that would make it easy peasy, at least on the water side. For the water side, with this particular program, I think they just might need a little nudge. Yeah. Okay. So I guess the next steps, what I'll do, I'll reach back out to TDEC and ask, do they have any literature or materials about this program that could be distributed to child care centers, um, home-based family care centers. Um, and if they don't have it, then my follow-up is like, can you make some? And then we can kind of go from, oh, sorry, and we can kind of go from there. Um, Yeah, because right now I don't know what to tell people to do because, again, it's not enough information and guidance around how you can actually access the resource.
Okay, but you just said some number they could call to, somebody they could call to actually talk about getting the test.
I didn't see it.
Oh, okay.
Mm-mm. It just literally, so on the currently on the website, it just has that it's available, and it's literally like at the bottom of the website, like a couple of sentences. So it's not like for example, I'll use like the health department website, like around the childhood lead poison program. It's more robust. It tells you like this is your point of contact, this is why it's important, and it has like more steps and like who you can call, even if you don't understand. That's not how it is for this particular program.
I would like to find out how that,
They might need to do something to their website too.
yeah, how they can find out how they can make contact. Uh, Because they take care of all the tests and they just tell people what to do and have them mail it, send it off to the laboratory.
That's what I'm inferring. But that's another thing that's missing that needs to be on the website or in some sort of literature. The only reason why I kind of know is because when I used to work for the district, we had a school that went through it.
Right.
But it's not it's not explicit anywhere around what's actually happening. Mm, mm. Because their article is making it look like people don't want to do it, but that's not the case. I just really think that they don't know. Okay.
What's that? Site?
Yeah, yeah, it's a short link that's on here. Yeah, I tried to make it simple. Mhm. Okay. Well, the follow up to that, and I'm super excited to hear just an update or debrief around the health fair with Porter Leath. And y'all, sorry, one of my team members had COVID. Fix it, Jesus. We definitely didn't want that to come out. Um, but did you? Um, I'm like, were you there? Were you there? Okay, yeah, just in general, just tell us about it.
Yeah, it went really well. So
Yay!
I'm not sure how many people you guys had there, but there were so many vendors.
Oh, good.
They had wonderful setup for the kids, so it was very interactive for the children.
Mm-hmm.
For Shelby County, we had 18 families
Oh, okay.
sign up. And to
Oh, that's
yeah, I was
good.
really excited about that, and to say that they wanted to get their child tested.
Right.
And we had them fill out a pre-survey beforehand. You know, their home was built before 1978, just a regular lead-based paint soil survey. And all of them lived in 1960 or lower. Like there were two individuals that their house was built in 1920, which is, they're split there. So it was very successful on our end, and we have all those children scheduled to be tested.
Yay! That made my day.
Yes.
It's been a long time coming. Listen, that's great. Okay. So at least we know we got one real good strategy over there at Port Leaf. Okay. All
And
right.
just let you know, your consent was part of our orientation packet for our new children coming in. So right now we're doing our 45-day mandates, that we have to do. So after that, then we'll be able to get with you about testing. But that was part of our packet. So for for parents to
Are you with Port, I'm skipping. You're
This
Port
Miss
Leath?
Asia
Okay.
that's been on the correspondence. This is
Okay.
my first time seeing her in
Good.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah, Port Leath, girl.
Yay!
Y'all were one of the first big concerns to actually do some testing.
I was looking at my email because I know we had webinars from the Office of Head Start about the funding for water testing. So that's what I've been trying to find
Okay.
on my email about to see if there was more information about it.
And see, that's a good point. You know what? You just mark what the issue is, because that's the Office of Head Start. It's not. I think that it's the gap in communication because TDEC was like, ooh, I don't really know. So it sounds like maybe they're not talking to each other, which is interesting because they still have a part. They have the technical part of it, but that's good to know. Um, okay. Well, yay! I'm glad that that was a success. A follow-up question is like, is there like, I guess, like more ongoing, like is there other like supports that you think would be good just in general around lead poison prevention? Like, um, so, for example, I know we've been really trying to get people to get their like residential, like get their water tested with the free kits from MLGW, for example. I know Chet does a lot of different services beyond just lead, but do you think that would that also be helpful or a point of interest?
I think a lot of parents may not be aware of it, even when they go to their child's pediatrician.
Mm,
There's um, a risk assessment, and depending on the outcome of the risk assessment, even if their child's even tested. Some
mm,
parents do say their child have been tested, but they don't have the results. So we're
mm,
encouraging parents to access their child's patient portal because you
mm,
may have the results, you just
mm-hmm.
haven't really,
Looked into that. Mm-hmm.
looked at them. And even if they get the results, if they know what the results mean.
Yeah.
So, I
Hmm.
think it's really some education, some outreach with parents, and also grandparents, because we are seeing more grandparents being parents as well as foster care. We are seeing, children in foster care if their parents,
Mhm.
their, caregivers may not be aware of, of the dangers of lead and what exactly that means.
Are you familiar with the site you can go to see if there's lead water lines at the house?
Is that what Memphis?
Well,
Dang, and I just had some flyers in my
Yeah.
purse from yesterday, in my other purse.
It was amazing that our house wasn't, but it was on this
Other
side
house
it was positive, but
Mm-hmm.
ours was good.
Mm-hmm.
And what I would say about that is that if it shows there's lead water lines in the area,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
It's still,
to
yeah.
be suspicious. My
Mm-hmm.
gas and water records are very,
Yeah, the records are based off hard copy records from the 90s. So when they built that GIS map, they literally manually had to build that out. I think that they did some updates like slightly over time, but like the baseline data was literally like tangible hard copy data that somebody had to
it's been
manual enter.
having it for years and years. We've been asking where it was.
Child, probably in somebody's file cabinet or something.
It came up after that. The guy from Channel 13 went up there and found out that any city that didn't know where their water lines were in violation. My gas water found them the next day. I mean, that's a true story.
So as a follow-up to that, and we may not necessarily like have time to speak in great depth, um, would it be helpful like if we had like some like more tangible like information like to share with parents around more general lead prevention things? So like for example, if it was something that talked about like how you look to see if it's a lead service line connected, to your home, And also, Chet, this would be important about the lead paint part too. Woo, because man, the more we get into community and people do get tested, I mean, man,
We can offer some of
9
that.
times out of
We
10,
was at
it's
a
a
meeting with
problem.
Sharon. I mean, because y'all did Sharon. Okay. And so
Hmm.
I wanted to be there. I had something else to come up. But we want to offer that to some of your parents that's got children that they test positive, to where we go do an assessment for them. If they don't qualify for the LIT program right away, then we'll actually go out and do an assessment for them and give some advice how they can address the problem themselves if they don't have money to pay somebody. That's the other thing that we're trying to be active of, is actually teach people how to do it. And then we actually trying to get some volunteers to, we can't do a large scale. We want to start with a community and work with somebody and then demonstrate that, that we're gonna work together in that. So I'd like to talk to y'all about that.
Okay. I do have a question. Oh, it's okay? Thanks.
Yeah.
When you say positive, are we looking at 5, the, or is it just anything other than 0?
You want my opinion?
Well.
My opinion, because of the history of what I know,
Mhm.
any number is a number to be concerned, especially for people who grew up in the neighborhood, or their parents grew up in the neighborhood where they were exposed. Many of our children have what I call body burdens, things that's passed down through generation. I don't know how much you know about lead, all the stuff about how it can be passed down. So a lot of people in our community have body burdens. So to take a level and say that that's okay, that's really not something that we really can say in our area and be okay with. So that the higher the number is, yes, but if it's lead showing up at all, there would be a question. It's because was that day the best day for lead, or was that the worst day? Because it varies. And so I'll share with you what we did. We did 50 samples, water samples, and we took most of them from the hot water tank. I know that was controversial with some people, but the reason for that was so that we could see if there was episodes. And we found out there had been lots of episodes. We found lead in tanks that had only been in service for 3 weeks, which means that just happened recently. So I'll share that with you. But to master my opinion is that if they're showing any level, then that's enough to be concerned, because then you need to know how many episodes have they had.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Any level is not safe. Medically, they'll tell you 3.5 or higher.
Yeah.
Specifically with those parents, if it's 3.5 or lower, they may not even tell them what that lead level is. And that's still not safe.
Right.
So I would encourage the parents to definitely look at their patient portal to get that level, because if it's anything lower, they won't even tell. They'll just say everything's fine with the baby, even if lead is.
That comes from the health department that way, does it? Yeah.
But the health, we'll tell them regardless.
Oh, yeah, now you tell the number either way.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
either
what
way.
I'm advocating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Because
physician's office won't.
people need to know the body burden, because Larry has a 3, but his daddy had been lead poisoned. When you go back, we were talking about that today. You go back to the project, a lot of those people in the projects were poisoned levels 40 and level 50, numbers that we know are off the charts. Then this child, any level could be too much.
The reason I asked, it was year prior to when you guys came out to do testing. We had one of our health advisory committee members there. She's a pediatrician, and all the children that were tested, it was maybe 2 that was 0. Everyone else
Had some level.
had some level. We had a handful that was at 5, but yeah, and most of those kids did have an IFSP or an IEP at the time, but most of them was not 0.
Okay, and the question is the body burden, how many episodes have they had? And that's the question. You test now and you say that's an episode, because lead only stays in the body for 8 to 10 weeks. So then the real question is what's going on and where did they get it? And we tested, they have I won't take over, let me stop. But living in a certain community and the lead dust is blowing, and when Middle Tennessee State came down here and did some samples of sidewalks, they did them all over Nashville, all over Tennessee. But Memphis ranked the highest in sidewalks being high. And that's because the way houses were being torn down, and because the houses were in poor shape. There was a number of things that caused that issue. So a lot of our people getting exposed from the lead dust. And then, you got the water, etc.
Quick question. Do you know, well, locally, is there any collaboration with the organization called the Children's Environmental Health Network? So they have this program called Eco Healthy, where essentially they do like PD for child care facilities, anybody like in early childhood. So anyone that is working with or housing small children. And so they do all sorts of different like trainings for folks. Some of it does focus heavily on lead. They even do like trainings around like cleaning products and like the dangers like with certain types of like uh, stuff you clean up the house with. It's very robust. I'll send some information about it, and then because it's on the record, I'll put it on social media. But that's a resource for folks too for childcare. I don't know why I didn't think about mentioning this before, but it's really good. So I know I did a webinar where I was one of the speakers on the webinar, but I was speaking from a policy perspective. But they also had technical people on there that specifically work with childcare facilities and family care centers and things like that. And they broke it all the way down. So they even talked about like the different types of pipes and like understanding like even if you do get a lead service line replacement, you need to check the fixtures inside of, the facility or the home. It was extremely thorough, but they did it in a way that a layman, would be able to understand. Um, but yeah, if you're interested, I can make the connection because we work with them as well. Excuse me, Black Bolinas for Flint works with them directly. But it's such a really good resource that I can attest for. I don't know why I
You
didn't
said
think
it's
about that
Echo.
until now. Eco Healthy,
Echo.
and the name of the organization is the Children's Environmental Health Network. Yep. So let me make a note to self. But I think even with that, um, people that are in that program, it lessens the anxiety and breaks up like people being scared that they're gonna get in trouble. Because that's where it's not like they don't want to do it. It's like, oh, if I open up Pandora's box, it's gonna be a domino effect, and this might impact my livelihood. Like it's very intersectional. But with this, so they try to build community, with other people that work in early childhood, child care facilities, where it makes them feel less terrified. Yeah. So I can make that connection and share more info about that. Okay. Yay, Porter Leath. I'm excited about that. Okay, we can go to the next item under old business, which is an update on the environmental justice resolution. Okay, I do have a positive update. So first of all the money got to be spent and gave out before the end of 2024. So that means that it's got to come soon. But essentially, the direction that they're going in. So this is from I always mess up the name of this. It's the community. It's the community department, not on the city side, but on the county side. I always mess up the name of that department. It's a department that Dorcas Young is, or Griffin Young is over, or Young Griffin. I might be messing up her hyphenated a married name. Anyway, part of the money, so the money is in her department, but she's not the technical person. John Zena's folks are the technical people, so they have to work together. So essentially, the direction that they may go in, because this RFP has not been established, but what they may go in is to take the 160,000 and essentially make it tiered so that there could be multiple grant opportunities that can go to community-based organizations, but the focus will, fingers crossed, will still be led. So that means that for example, like CDCs may be able to apply, which is great. Um, like other like small like grassroots organizations may be able to apply, and then of course like people that have been working in this area for decades will be able to apply as well. But I think that that's good as far as representation and specifically like getting those real core neighborhood people tapped into it. Because like a CDC being able to apply and have resources for that, then that will help us in the work that we do to help them, to mobilize, to engage with like the immediate community and get into connected to these resources. So that's the proposal, doing air quotes, because it's not, finalized. It's got to go through all sorts of channels. But that was the proposal for the 160. I'm the most excited, and I might be biased because the focus will be on lead, because it could be a myriad of things with EJ. But yeah, that's my update. So I welcome any questions. I'll try to answer them, but if not, I'll take it back.
That money's gonna be geared toward doing things in the community like inspections, community awareness, or.
So I think it kind of depends. So I think it kind of is based on like what people submit in their application.
Okay.
So I do know that like the community outreach, of course, would be a part of it. Now it's not a whole lot of money, but if you wanted to do like, for example, you wanted to do a pilot where you're just doing like a particular block or something, it's not a ton of money.
Right.
So if you wanted, for example, if you wanted to submit a project, and this is completely hypothetically speaking, but if you wanted to do a project, let's say like we did what in Hyde Park, where you take like a particular like street, maybe it's a street that has a lot of lead service lines, for example, and you may want to do samples from that particular like block or street. um I don't see why that wouldn't be like an amazing proposal, but I think that it's kind of diverse depending on like
What you present.
what people put in the actual application. That's exciting. This is the first time ever, at least in my lifetime, that I've seen
I'm really interested
something
in that.
local
Yeah.
like that.
I don't know if you saw, I sent you the information. Evan, me and Evan
Mhm.
are back working together.
Mhm.
And we're going to be trying to set up all the stuff for an actual laboratory.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we're meeting this week, and we're going to do our first comparison sample. We got a dust wipe, a sample we're doing for a lead poison child this weekend. But we
Mhm.
actually going to send we're going to send water samples off to the lab, and we're going to do some ourselves under his protocol. We setting up all the
Mhm.
protocol, etc. So we're really excited about that, and then we'll be able to actually go out into the communities and do some samples. My thing is we would do hot spots, like somebody say, hey, my water's brown, I think we got lead water.
Mhm.
Lead like gas water, do the normal testing. We would actually look at doing the immediate testing if somebody has a concern. When it's been work at the house, you have some plumbing work done, or like gas water's done some work. So we'll keep you posted on that, but we're actually moving forward.
Okay. One last thing that I will add, if this is like the plan that moves forward, it will definitely make Shelby County much more competitive for other types of funding opportunities, both, I would even dare to say like at the state and the federal level, and then even from a philanthropic perspective, because philanthropy in Memphis, they got to get better around EJ. That will definitely present like a really good scenario, because this resolution came completely from community, like from Chet was there making public comment. Everybody had the same script, like this is what we want. And so for that to pass through a resolution is very unique, as opposed to just like it coming like from somebody's budget. Since it's in a resolution, you got to do it, and you have to do it a certain way. So I think that's the win. So I'll keep y'all updated. But it has to happen pretty soon, because we already got a few more days left in August. So, yay. Okay. Any updates or questions? I mean, not updates, questions about that part? Okay, cool. All right. The next item is the debrief of the Healthy Homes Month event. That was actually was supposed to be where Sharon did the update. I know we donated, but we didn't. We being my nonprofit, but we didn't have capacity to actually physically be there. Did anybody go to the Healthy Homes thing?
Well, I passed out y'all saw.
Oh well, thanks, Chet.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
When they was coming in the driveway, we was passing it out. So no, y'all were and y'all were
Okay.
represented.
Okay.
I was there. We passed out quite a bit of stuff because I met your guy. I met him. He brought me the materials that day.
Oh, Joshua, he had
Joshua.
locks. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But was it like a good
It
turnout
really
or?
was.
Okay.
They was
You
giving
were there
away a
too?
lot of
Okay.
stuff too.
Oh, okay.
That helps.
Mhm.
Yeah, it did. There was a lot going on.
I did. So I do honestly feel a way that HUD made this requirement and then they didn't provide any funding. That's extremely problematic. I don't know what channel I need to make a complaint about that, but that's not cool for you to be a federal agency and kind of volunteer somebody to host this, and then like one, they wouldn't even let the people that's got the HUD grant, they wouldn't even let them use the funding from the HUD grant to pay for it. And so literally like we had to piecemeal financially everything together, like it like was a strain like on county employees because it's when you work for the government, you can't just randomly just be like, hey, I need this money. You know, you can't do that. So that I did not like that. It added a unnecessary barrier. So I'm trying to figure out how to complain.
They had bouncy houses and food, and I mean it was a lot. It was a good turnout. I mean it was a lot of stuff. Kids
Yeah.
was everywhere.
And I'm glad that it was great,
Yeah.
but I do not like
The way
that
it
there
was
wasn't
funded.
resources. Right. That they got to do better than that. That was not okay. So I have to figure out how to complain about HUD. That mm-mm. Well, it's great. I'm glad that that worked out well. Um, okay, next item for discussion is Lead Poisoning Prevention Month is in October. I forgot which meeting it was. We kind of talked about it to a certain extent around potentially having like some sort of forum that would be inclusive like of other, well, it's easier for us to work like with county agencies, but like the focus being on various aspects of lead, so amplifying the programs that already exist, also talking about like ways for like there to be more advocacy. You can bring in TDEC, you can bring in like federal. I don't know what we want to do. And yeah, we almost in September. I can't believe we, ooh, child. But yeah, point of discussion. What do we want to do? I know, I think in 2020 we did like a social media campaign where we partnered like with SCS, excuse me, Memphis Shelby County Schools, with the health department, with the mayor's office, with county commission, and like some other like local organizations, and it worked really well, like around just education. The big win is we got the district to participate. That was a big win. Um, but that was during COVID, so we couldn't go outside. Well, I don't know what we're gonna be able to do here shortly with these COVID spikes. But anyway, just wanted to open it up for like what do we think would be feasible where we're not gonna be worn out, but it still will have a good impact.
And we get a lot of supplies from. You still can get supplies from EPA in them, can't you? But
Depending on what it is, yeah.
we all talking about for the schools where you could. One of the things we did was actually pick some schools and actually took a lot of literature over there for the kids, colored books, things like that.
This is October, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what time frame are we trying to do something every week of the
Oh
month of
Lord,
October, or
I don't know.
Lead awareness week.
Yeah, Lead
okay,
Awareness Week. It's the what last full week in October?
got
Let me see. I might be lying. Let me give the actual. Let me Google. It's October the 22nd through the 28th. Oh, and I forgot. I think we also talked about like getting like the University of Memphis involved. They did really good work when they worked with the district after that first round of tests came out, where they went to all the schools to figure out the source, to figure out like where the lead was coming from. And then the next time that they did testing, I mean, it went down as far as like schools with spike levels. But yeah, I don't know.
Because I think the first time when you met Memphis State was having a thing. Wasn't that doing lead week? I was thinking they had something.
Yeah, I don't remember what time of the year it was.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No problem. I'm just saying maybe we can see what they have. Because they had something on campus doing. They would actually have some different things. Uh, and maybe they got something going on that month as well.
I think that was with Caesar and Protect Our Aquifer and the Sierra Club. The only thing that I would say about that event, it was not, from my opinion, it wasn't community centered.
Right.
It was like people that already work in environment. A lot of those people were there, but like not like people who were likely to be directly impacted, And that's not to disparage the event. Like I think that it was great. We were speaking there, But that's my only, not concern, but just I guess thought. Um, I can also add, well, dang, the person that I know was Sarah. She don't work there no more.
At the health
No,
administration.
Sarah Houston, she would protect our aquifer now.
Oh, okay.
And the other man that was there, he don't work there anymore either. I don't even know who works over there anymore. And the lady that we used to work with in civil engineering, she don't work there anymore either. Dang, I don't know.
The lady did all the testing. She was good people.
Yeah, she left. So let me get, so do we want to do like just something like on social media? Do we want to have like some sort of,
Maybe like every day on social media we post lead awareness too,
yeah.
or lead-based paint,
Mhm.
knowledge, something every single day that targets specific audiences.
Okay. And maybe we can get jazzy and like people that have like a positive like testimony around something. That would be powerful. Um, yeah, because everybody might need to stay at home depending on how this thing gonna go.
I was thinking about that.
I'm scared. As I have my mask on, I'm scared.
Social media might be the thing to plan for.
Okay, I like it. Let's roll with it. Okay. All right. So maybe, and we don't have to do it here, but just thinking about like who would be good partners to like, it's a concerted, effort to get as many people to push it out as possible, especially people with big followings on social media. Oh, that's actually real good. We didn't do that last time. I didn't even think about that. Like local social media influencers, because people have thousands and thousands of followers. I didn't even think about that. Okay. And then we honestly can use like the stuff that all, because it was the EPA, they make all the graphics and they're trying to reinvent the wheel. Just use stuff that they already got. And then like I guess we can kind of think about later like what those kind of testimonials like would look like. Um like Chet, even if you had, or like if you had, like if people are comfortable with it, like saying like any of your clients that you've had where they've gone through testing and like it's, things are better now. I even think about um like Connie, for example. She didn't even know Connie works with the Center for Transforming Communities. So she volunteers like to do like door knocking. But her herself, she was like, wait, because this is in my community. She was like, is it lead in my water? And it was. So she got it tested, and so it was, and so it kind of took her on this whole like rabbit hole of
She
like,
had her lines removed.
yeah, and then she like even got to test it at her job, like at the physical building. So once that happened, it sparked something. She was like, wait a minute. So
That's what we were talking about. Well, she both told me to get back with her. I was gonna pick her neighborhood, and I may talk to you about y'all's too. I want to pick a neighborhood, a certain area that we actually gonna dedicate some of our resources to, and make them part of the project that we're talking about. Encouraging them to get the water tested, or let us identify if you have lead water lines at your house, etc., and do an assessment like we did when we walked through, look for peeling paint, dust, etc. So
do you want to do a canvas then?
yeah, well, me and Connie got an area right over by that building. So we're
Okay.
gonna do that to her area, and then I wanna talk about doing that over there where y'all are, Port Leaf. Are you at Port Leaf? Are you at the building?
Well, okay, we're not at Manassas. We have an early head start at Manassas, if that's
Oh,
what you're talking
okay.
about.
Oh, that's the building I'll be thinking about, Manassas.
Right, and we have an early head start, but the administrative site is not there, even though the big house is there, the administrative building is moved.
Okay.
But we do have an early head start there.
in that area, right there in that area. That's why y'all did some of y'all testing, or y'all testing of the
I'm
the
sure
water
we,
too.
yes,
We've tested
all
three
of,
sites.
yeah.
No,
Support.
okay, okay. All right, well, we'll talk, because I really hate I missed that meeting when Sharon and them came, because, I work with Labana, with the MHE, so we're looking at trying to get a couple projects. So that'll be one of the things I'll work on.
Okay, so you let me know in advance, and I will connect you to the individuals that
Okay.
will be able to push.
All right. What's your name?
It's Asia, ASIA, Goodman, GOODMA.
Thank you, man.
Okay. Yeah, so social media campaign. Yep. That's much easier. Okay. Okay. Let's see. So we'll move to new business. So with this first item, and of course I forgot what this acronym stands for. This was also supposed to be an update from Sharon, but I can speak to it. Um, I can speak to it. So this particular project is called, it's with the Center for Public Impact. It's called Earning Trust to Build Equitable and Healthy Societies. So it was several months long. Whew, it was almost like being in grad school a little bit. It was really robust, but essentially with this project, it required community-based organizations to work collaboratively with government entities. So and it was only certain like cities represented from different places throughout the country, and Memphis so happened to be one of the ones that was selected. And so essentially, what the so it was community-based organizations. It was the health department. What's the name of Dana's team?
Shelby County?
Yeah.
Shelby County, rehab department?
No.
Did she name her team, or they just choose which?
Is it planning something? I always mess the name. Let me look at her title.
I wouldn't know.
These government titles mess me up all the time. Hold on. Oh, let me tell you. It also had housing. Housing was in there. Hold on, let me see. Hold on, let me tell you what the name of this thing was. Okay, here's Dana. Okay. Department of Housing, Division of Planning and Development. That they were also in there. That's joint between city and county, sorry. So they were also part of it. But essentially, we were trying to essentially demonstrate like how much influence you have if you work with community and government. So part of the project was to actually interview and engage with people that had either lived in areas where there were high concentrations of lead, or people that had actually been directly impacted. So we did at least 15 different or more interviews. Some of the people that were interviewed, we had a school board member that was interviewed, so Frank was interviewed, and then like other like community members. And so based on the information, it was powerful for government agencies to hear that type of narrative like directly, so not from an advocate but directly from people who were impacted. So that was pretty powerful.
Did you see
Then
the story on Kim? I mean, to cut you off. Kim was one of the people they talked to.
oh, I don't.
Okay, well, her son, she was over in the projects.
Hmm.
She came, her child was lead poison when he was little. She came to work for us in lead abatement. But her son now is 19, and he really doesn't function. And she was one of the ones that was talking about what they're gonna do now as far as helping him. They know he was lead poison, kind of went through it. And as he got older, 15, 16, the lead came back out. I mentioned to you what I think is called lead X here. When they boys go through that, and it just boom, all of a sudden it went all the way to the left. And that's what happened. So anyway, she shared her story. And she also shared the story of the other lady that was one of her best friends. Her son was the guy that was on what is that movie on about the football player, the young guy. They talking about or.
Oh, that's in that lawsuit
Yeah,
about the conservative.
his mama worked with us, and she was also a friend of hers. And some of her kids were lead poison.
Did they live in her village?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah. As a matter of fact, they did. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, her kids were left poison, and his situation got worse as he got 15. When he got to be about 14 to 15, it really went to the left, and so she had a real good story, real good story.
Yeah. So one good thing is that I personally learned is like the power of storytelling, and a lot of times, even from like a funding perspective, that's data. You
Yeah.
need that type of information, and it made me rethink like the whole approach to how you go for funding, as opposed to like, especially when you apply for federal funding, what's your target zip code? Like it's very like quantitative and not really capturing like the human aspect of what's actually happening. That's just my perspective, like what I really focus on. But then also, I think that the program did a really good job of like mixing together like people that's like the practitioners, so that does like the actual technical work that's associated with it, policy, advocacy, everything was like kind of mixed in there together. But
They
yeah,
videos. I'm gonna see if I can get a hold of those videos because they videoed those interviews.
I don't know if we're supposed to release that though.
Oh, okay. Well, I want to release it.
Oh,
I was
okay.
part of the group. I was
I don't
like
know.
seeing everybody. I saw
Oh,
Kim's.
yeah,
I
yeah.
saw Kim's, and I talked to
Yeah,
several other
just on
people.
the record, we're not gonna release nobody's personal videos.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, I understand.
Yeah. Um, but thank you, Chet, because I didn't get a chance to go to the actual like formal presentation, but I definitely was in there in the working part stages. Um, okay, so next item under new business is meeting with the MLGW grant writer. It still ain't happened. So MLGW, I'm assuming at the beginning of the year or like or at least early in Doug McGowan's tenure, they have a grant writer. Maybe 4 months we've been trying to meet with this young lady. Um,
Is she writing grants pertaining to everything, or is this focusing
we
on
don't
lead
know
for the
because we
water?
want to meet her.
Okay.
We don't know. Um, she did send an update with some dates that she has available. I think folks are just kind of exasperated. Nevertheless, I'm gonna meet with her because I want to know exactly like what's on your like calendar, your radar for grants that you're gonna apply for because we about to tap out for the rest of the year. So at least like going into 2024, you need to like let us know like what grants do you propose to apply for. Of course, like our interest is around lead, so lead service line replacement, anything around lead. But right now we don't know because we still haven't met with the young lady. Sorry, I mean to call it sis. We haven't met with her yet. Um, we did reach out and ask if there was interest for MLGW to learn a bit more about the state revolving grants. Um, And the response was to explain to me what a state revolving grant is. I didn't need anybody to explain that to me. I was asking, were you
Well,
going
you
to
gonna
take
go after them?
advantage of that?
Okay.
Because you got bonds out right now. It makes more economic sense for you to tap into this funding than to do what you're doing right now because essentially you haven't fully done your plan around how you're going to do this lead service line replacement program, but you got funding for that already. You got to have, like, for example, their inventory is supposed to be done in October of this year.
Inventory of where the lead water lines are.
And you already know that they're probably not done. So I'm like, what are y'all doing? Right? So one, how are you being good stewards of the money that you already have? And then two, what are you doing? Have you even done an analysis of what you need to determine what you
Okay.
need to advocate for?
Are they answering
So
you? Do they?
no, we still ain't met with the girl.
Okay.
So essentially, Doug did a push off that was just like, yeah, you could talk to her. This is my grant person, but she'll be like, "Oh, I'm out of town," or "No, I can't meet for I'm on vacation." I'm like, "Dang, sis, did you just get hired? You've been on vacation about 2 or 3 times," but that's where we are with that. Um, I will say that there are a number of community organizations that are weary with MLGW for a myriad of reasons. Um, Also, MLGW pretty much insinuates that they're prioritizing energy. So with the frequent water outages, and I get that, but every time you have a water outage right here in Whitehaven, because my mama lives right up the street, the water and the power goes out. Then they're still doing boil water notices. They're not telling people to filter first. So it's a lot going on, or not going on with MLGW. But for the purposes of this item, we still haven't met with this young lady, so hopefully we'll get something scheduled because I don't know what she does. So that's my update there. Um, okay, this next item, so this was actually brought up by LPC member Sharon Hyde around there being barriers with eligibility rules for the lead paint program. I don't want to misspeak, so I'm gonna table that and just let her, when she is available for the next meeting, to speak directly to that, because that wasn't an issue that I raised. Um, Unless somebody else knows, like what she.
Well, I know a little bit, but I think it'd be better to let her
Let her
talk
talk,
about
yeah.
what she's had, because,
Okay,
well, he's in their program and I've been associated with it for over 20-something years. So
okay.
there's different ways that people can get qualified. Different programs have different things you have to do, such as you pay your taxes or have a deal, just certain things. So you let her
Okay.
tell what it is. But I know they've both been figuring out. I know the county goes out of the way to try to figure out a way to get people on the program.
I can attest to that.
Well, they do. And so with the city's program, I know that theirs is a little bit more rigid. And so a lot of people don't qualify for that program, and I think that's what Sharon's really got a bug about.
Okay, understood. Okay, so I'll just have that as table and then we'll circle back to that once we get some more insight from Sharon. Um, Actually, the next item D, I kind of spoke about a little bit of that in item B. So, strategies to gain transparency with MLGW in the city of Memphis around lead service line replacements. We need a plan.
Yeah. Well, can I introduce,
Yeah.
this is Brian. I asked
Hi,
Brian to
Brian.
come, because he's one of the young contractors here in Memphis. He also was one of the members of our organization. He also went through the EPA training, et cetera.
Oh, okay.
And he's looking to, well, I'll let you talk.
Well, just, I'm looking to participate in, replacing the water line, lead water lines. My company is on lead certified. Like you said, we've been doing it for the better part of 15 years with Shelby County and the city of Memphis, as far as lead remediation and lead removal in the houses, as far as paint chips. But I'm doing a couple houses now in the Klondike or what's the area, Smoky City area. That we renovating some homes, and I always encourage the organizations that I work with that if any house over there, we taking the lead water lines out. No matter what,
And that's on the residential side? On the resident. Oh.
I'm doing a house right now that we just removed the whole service lead line from the meter to the house, and they really wasn't aware of it. And also,
the resident wasn't aware, or MLGW wasn't aware?
Well, the resident wasn't aware of it.
And what you can do is.
Wait, so MLGW did the replacement,
No,
and then
no, I was gonna
you
say,
did the
we did.
replacement.
So I was
Oh,
saying,
okay.
what you-
Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
what you could do, and what Nick said we could do, put it in writing, give me that address. When you change that line out, if it's still in the street, that's the time for like
Yeah,
gas water to
it's
change
in the
that
street.
out. So that's the time when you can say to them, we want this changed out. Because if you fix that line and you don't fix this one, they still got an issue. When it gets shaked up out there, whatever. But they said if y'all gonna do it, you can call them. And so as you move forward, when you get ready to do one, I would call like gas water. Or call me, let's see, because we gotta start making them answer. They got something they think they don't have to answer. That's why I was so excited today at the county board meeting. I've been to a lot of meetings over 20 years. This is the first time I really was excited. I felt good.
Everybody tired of them.
But I tell you, this was one of the best meetings I went as far as getting support and from people saying that they sick of this and sick of that. And then one of the people asked me, how did Flint get to the front of the line? Because I took statistics in there and I was showing them how Flint, there's over 3,000 cities sick in Flint, et cetera, and I talked about it. And so they stopped and said, well, let me skip. How did Flint get to the front of the line? If you're telling me they nowhere near sick as Memphis. And I explained to them about that movie. I think I told you about that. Queen Latifah was in a movie called Poison Water. She's sitting across from another black lady. And she was like, girl, you know how long we've been telling these people about these kids being sick? Now we're gonna get some action now because there's some white kids sick. And people in the audience start popping their fingers. I guess you young people, y'all know what that means. They start popping their fingers. I said, yeah, once the white people found, it came to the white kids, all of a sudden, you're gonna do something. So, but they actually talked more about that. Several of them actually told me that they set up a special committee so we can start talking about it because they saw how long we've been talking to like Ashland about these lead water lines, how they're not doing what they did about the when EPA told EPA how many they were going to take out, and they didn't do that, but they didn't tell City Council how serious the problem was.
That's the issue. I've never seen any pushback from county commission, but I've seen absolute apathy from the city of Memphis. And the city of Memphis has the most influence on MLGW, not the county.
Right.
So until the city of Memphis takes this just as serious, I'm concerned. They quasi fund MLGW outside of ratepayer money. So that's even like the new mayor, that's the new thing. What's about to happen?
Right.
It's so much power on the city side versus the county.
Right.
That's great. I mean, I feel like anytime that we've gone before county commission that they've been concerned, you know, also even this administration is tired of MLGW, but it's the city.
They asked me some key questions specifically. Mr. Kibble, you done this for a long time. Charlie, what's Charlie?
He in North Memphis.
Yeah. Well, he went with me. He went to a meeting with me 10 years ago. He brought that up today. He said, I went to a board meeting with you 10 years ago, and you telling me things ain't moved no further than they have. And so there was a lot of support, a lot of talk about what we're gonna do next and where we're headed. So I think it's gonna be something a little different this time. At least I'm optimistic. But I can cut
I was gonna suggest that a lot of these CDCs in these communities, I think that would be just to get with them to kind of suggest that they start making these contractors remove the lines out. You know what I'm saying? Most of all my houses,
change the lines out. Because that issue we talking about that happened over on Walker Street.
Yeah, I had a question for you, and this is to the inventory. So once you do, so that's part of the inventory issue, right? Is that they are only reporting lead on the public side, but there's no like mechanism around what exists on the residential side. So in those instances, like where you replace the residential side and they're supposed to do the replacement on the public side, do we know if they're updating the inventory to represent that?
Well, he pulls a permit.
Yeah.
He pulls a permit to show his side, what happened to the resident.
Right.
Okay, but like gas and water, I don't know if they update their records.
But that might be like a good point, like some evidence to see if they're doing it, because and then I don't have no proof, but I want to see like, are they doing their due diligence with keeping that inventory up to date?
Right.
Exactly. Because if you're not updating it, like what's the point of having this whole inventory?
Well, that was one of the things that me and Evan was talking about as well, is that once we get our protocol in place, is that we want to go to some of the places where like gas and water has just changed lead water lines, and especially if we got a relationship with that community to where we can test the water immediately. Okay, so we can do a test and send it off to like gas and water to do a test, because they take anywhere between a week and 2 weeks. Our machine will give results within
sometimes longer than that.
Yeah, we can have results right away. And that's why I say with Evan being who he was and who he is, it's gonna get some credibility. I'm not just being honest. Being a black man, no matter how.
Yeah, I'm like, you can make it plain. You already know what time it is.
Yeah. So, and with him having been a scientist at St. Jude, one of the top guys, and now he's the top man over there with that company that makes all the body parts right off of roofs.
Smith and Nephew.
He's their top man now to look at the stuff that's going in there. So he's got a good reputation, and I was glad that, just being honest, I was glad that he agreed to work.
Well, with good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so again, I'm gonna have to get them together. At this point, I'm gonna raise like you got into October because it's literally in the bipartisan infrastructure law, and you already got some of this money that rolled up from the state. So where you at with this inventory?
And Brian has heard that there's been some people out, that's why I asked him to come. He's heard that there's been some subcontracting going out on the lead water line, but they haven't been communicating with the community because he's not the only one. He wants to hire people. He's gonna train people to be plumbers. Okay, so that's the advocate. We're trying to create jobs. That's been our whole thing.
Yeah, and then would MLGW be subject to the same like the minority contracts?
They should be for more reasons than one. Because when they were told to stop cutting their water lines, and I just going back a little bit, some of y'all know me, they were told to stop cutting their water lines in 2009. We didn't find out to 2016, 17, they had to stop cutting. So you exposed the community all that time, even though we had told you not to do it and to take samples, and you didn't take samples. So I think that they owe the community some retribution. All we asking you is let us do the work. I think that's more than fair. And so that's part of what I'm getting ready to ask is that we need to take legal action. Some of the conversation I had today, some people agreed with me. If that's what we need to do, we need to be able to demand some stuff from Like Gas and Water. Like Gas and Water has done some really bad things. I resigned from Like Gas and Water in 1999, and I'm gonna stop the story there. And they were doing bad things then. And that's why I resigned. And they continued to do bad things. And they're still doing bad things now. Cutting lines without doing any testing and that kind of stuff.
So the follow-up that I'll have, and I'll include, now I will say that when I email President McGowan, he responds.
Okay.
So I'm gonna address it to him and put Nick and Quentin on there too, but I'm addressing it to President McGowan. First of all, they need some type of task force because clearly you can't do this on your own.
Right.
Two, I need to know the progress because you literally got into October for the inventory, and then what's the comprehensive replacement plan? He did say when I met with him that they were going to prioritize replacements where they did partials. I want to see evidence that you actually lived up to that, and I want to know like what's your bottom line? How many are you? So are you going to try to go back to the word that you gave about the amount that you were going to replace a year, or you going to still keep doing 1,000 lines a year? And if you do that, you're never going to be done. I'll be dead by the time they finish doing that.
Please add in there that we want to see the community involvement. How they're going to tie the community plumbers, because there's a lot of them.
Okay, yep.
We want to be tied into this. It shouldn't be a secret.
And I need to ask the city. I ain't gonna ask them. I'm gonna ask somebody I know. Is MLGW subject to the same requirements for those minority contractors? I feel like they should be, but I don't know because it's quasi-governmental. But I'm gonna find that out too. But I'm still gonna ask them straight up, like, what is the diversity with contractors, and what are you doing to ensure that there's equitable access?
And that's where the community. I'm not saying we. I'm part of the community. We got to put pressure on them for not doing what they should do. And so I'm gonna write some letters. It's time to start demanding some things legally.
Okay.
And the children are back from the University of Memphis. That when the lawyers get back, we're supposed to be able to talk to some of them.
Yeah, that's on you, Chip.
Yes, ma'am. I know. I'm just letting you know.
Yep,
I'm on
I got you.
Yeah, I'm on it. Believe me, I am.
Okay. All right, I know we got about 12 more minutes. Okay, so let's go to the next item. Okay, so policy recommendations for the school-led bill. So we, in, I think, 2019, had some policy recommendations. They went to the state, and at that time, former state representative, but now state senator London Lamar, she did introduce the recommendations. Um, they got stuck because COVID hit. And also, and I mentioned this before, and at that time when it was Shelby County schools, they had a lobbyist that blocked those recommended amendments. The amendments were to include explicitly child care facilities in the bill and to lower the level of remediation because it's way too high.
Right.
And then I think, and then there was also like some communication updates too. There was too much lag time for when you were supposed to like communicate to parents, and then also like um, the window of time for you to actually like mitigate like the situation. So either taking the water source out of service, like covering up, whatever. It was too long of a gap. Anyway, it stalled. It made it to the floor, but not for a vote. And then COVID happened, and then it was over with. Um, these recommendations were also submitted to the school board, but again, like you have some new people on the school board now. They didn't even acknowledge it at all with that particular leadership. And so the question is, do we need to bring it back up? I did do a straight ask to Frank Johnson and asked him would he at least introduce it. And he's an EJ person, so he's willing. But I wanted to just open it up for discussion. Is this something that we would be interested in bringing back up? Now the thing is, oh, this is a testing year. So this is the
This
year where they
year,
have to
both
test because
tests.
it's biannual. That was the other thing. We said that it needed to be annual and not biannual.
Yeah.
What? Like every 2 years? Because in other states that do have lead bills, they do it annually. A lot can happen
And the
between
fact that
two
we,
years.
and the fact that we had COVID is even more important that we do it. And not put all the pressure on the health department, but we need to be doing testing. They need to be doing a lot of blood testing right now. It's kind of like with COVID, if you didn't test, you didn't know where it was
I
at.
forget about that. That's the part that we didn't include in the recommendations was for there to be more collaboration with the health department. So when they did the first round of testing in 2019, and then, everybody was red alert because it
Yeah.
was all these schools with elevated levels. And then that's when Mayor Harris was just like, oh, nope, immediately. I know well, you weren't there yet. It was stressful. It was stressful for the health department. But he was just like, any child in Shelby County like could get free testing. But it's still a gap. So what would be great from a policy perspective, local policy, because I'm tired of Memphis Shelby County schools just only saying we're following the state law. We didn't say that you weren't following the state law,
State
but
law
Memphis has the
sanctioned.
majority of lead poisoned kids. So
Yeah.
stop playing.
Yeah.
So I wonder what could also be included in those recommendations is if, for example, you do have a child that's lead poisoned, there needs to be some type of confidential, but it needs to be some type of communication between the health department and it's exceptional children, but the special education department where you're communicating. And so that would trigger for there to be like what do you call it? The eligibility process. Because right now, the parent knows. The parent might not know the IEP and special education process. They're focused on, let me get through this because I just found out that my child was lead poisoned. But it's a gap between like what happens at the district.
We talked about that today too.
That's a good point. And I don't know if this fits.
Mm-hmm.
We were delivering a LIRA, it's a lead inspection assessment report to a student from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And she took her child to, I think it was just a normal visit to Methodist Germantown.
Mm-hmm.
One of the lab workers said that she's been seeing an increase in EBL kids. And I was just wondering, is there a way we can track that? Or how do we capture that? And that when you were making those marks, can we put that in the policy?
Her boss said that they were seeing it too. That the health department was actually seeing that there was.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like right now, just each month. So the system is called Lead Track.
Okay.
So the labs send in all of the blood levels to a particular agency.
Gotcha.
They put all of that in the system. TDEC does,
Okay.
and then Tennessee Department of Health, and then in that system, and then we can see it. Now I'm not sure who all has access, but all childhood poisoning prevention programs have access to the system, so I can see everything from every county in Tennessee.
Do they reach out to those people?
We can only reach out to Shelby County individuals. So anybody that has elevated blood level, automatically that system will send us an email.
Mm-hmm.
Right now we have 236 active elevated blood level cases here.
Jesus.
I mean, 236.
And one of the things
that's almost a whole school building.
Are you familiar with IDEA?
No.
IDA, yeah.
Individual Disability Education Act. And I'm trying to get a real good understanding of it, because I know we got some programs at Shelby County where they try to help the kids, but that program can actually get to children with a disability check. They have to go and get evaluated by a psychiatrist or something to that effect, and that's how we talked about how to do that. But that's what needs to happen in our community, and that was one of the things I talked about today with the board, is that we got to figure out how to get the resources so that people who don't have the money, because if you've seen the movie, I know you've seen the movie, led the epidemic about America's secret epidemic is led, and this lady did a movie, a documentary, where all her kids get the check. But both of her kids went to a psychiatrist, and even though they looked normal or whatever, he evaluated them, they got brain damage, etc. So
Yeah, the only thing, Chet, with that, and I think we talked about that before.
right,
That's not the responsibility of the district. So the district doesn't, they don't orchestrate that process for the
right.
checks. So for this recommendation is to at least communicate. So what you said is the indicator where you know. Why would the district not know? It should be both, right? Like, I used to be a teacher. I would love to know
Yeah.
if I have a lead poisoned child. This child, I mean, you don't know. They still need to go through the eligibility process. But you still need to know something. And right now, it's a complete disconnect. Now, with the check part, that's on the different.
No, yeah,
That's
this ain't on the school.
different.
This is where the
Yeah,
community got to become active.
yeah.
And this is where we in the community, that's what I'm talking about. We got to do something for our community. We got to help them. And so y'all got the education part. The school can only do so much, but the people in the community, we educate them. White people should be the only ones getting checked for poison kids. And I'm just saying, we looked into what's going on.
Which agency? I know it's not the district, but which agency deals with it's not Social Security, is it?
When you
Who
talking
does
about
it?
the idea,
Like if you get like
a child, if you get them evaluated, you go through, that's actually through the government. I'm gonna get all that specifics.
yeah,
So when I'm
yeah,
working
but
on,
like what agency? I know it's a government agency, but I
okay,
don't
who
know
do you
which
check?
one.
Who do they talk to to
Yeah.
actually get the things going? I'm looking into that now. I'm
Okay.
really trying to get all the way to it so I can actually tell somebody, this is, after you see this and you get this done, this is who you call, this is what you do.
Okay.
And so I'm really trying to find out how to do that. But you the key point is that most people don't know that you have communities, certain zip codes where hotspots, when they did the University of Memphis, where you got hotspots where we know that 30 or 40% of these kids are dead poison.
Now, one key thing that is important is from a K through 12 perspective, you get more money per pupil if you have a child with an IEP. Then you also get more money if you have children where English isn't their first language, so ELL. So that's like what, double, right? So it is resources, and they could be missing out on those resources if the child hasn't been diagnosed because you didn't know.
The parents got to share that information with the school, though, right? The parents have to share.
But you know, it's a stigma. It's a stigma with that too. So not all parents are gonna be like, because let's be real. I'll say this: I don't work for the district anymore.
Right.
Some of these special education programs in this in the city. Now you get stellar services in the county, but some of these special education programs, they don't treat our children well. They immediately set up goals that are not rigorous and just essentially write them off. In some instances, you don't even get a real diploma when you graduate. So there's also these drawbacks around why some parents don't want the stigma associated with their child. So that's also something to take into consideration. But even besides all of that, as an educator, you still need to know, even if a parent like rejects services. You can reject services. You don't have to. If you don't want your child to get services, you can say that you don't want it. But still, even as an educator, there's still a way that you can still accommodate and like adjust like your instruction, knowing, that the child, has been exposed.
I know with TIS, which is the early intervention program for children under 3, if your lead is a certain elevation, that's part of their eligibility. You would be, I don't want to say automatically eligible. I think you have to have something else besides that, but that is one of the triggers. And regarding the database, everyone does not have access. That would be great because with the immunization database, if you're a child care provider, you can get access to that. It would be great if we had that same access to the lead. So
That's a
for
good
example,
point too.
We do screenings. We do hearing screening, vision screening, speech screenings, and developmental screenings. It would be nice, and even mental health. We have a mental health referral process in our program. It would be nice to know if lead was a contributing factor to that, but you cannot get that information from that database.
Yeah.
because it's restricted.
Mhm. And I think with lead, because it would be a HIPAA thing
Yeah.
with us, because, you know, we can only let you know numbers,
Right.
you know, unless, no, I can say, with Porter Leath, when we were discussing it, because they have such good relationships with their parents, on our consent form that they're gonna give to their parents, they're gonna give Porter Leath permission to get that information.
Okay.
So you can use that,
Okay.
as long as we have the consent for it.
Yeah.
Now, I can only share data for that particular one. So what we see is all of Shelby County, you know, all of each county. I can share with housing if we have a referral that we sent to you.
Cool.
I can let you know this particular child has an elevated blood level. I can't even let you know what the level is.
That's fine, but they're getting routed to where they need to get routed to. That's cool.
So with the district, what could that potentially, what would that look like then?
We probably need a completely separate system.
Okay.
That's what only way I can see it would work. It would work. Because it's just the lead tracks. You see everybody.
Yeah.
Everything. So it would have to be something completely different.
Yes.
Where it could just show, not the name, but show what the zip code where the children live, poison.
Right.
Because that guy that did the study.
Well, they still need to know who the child is, though. For this purpose, you got to know who the child is because you need to take them through the eligibility process. So you still would need to know.
But don't the parents have to agree to that? Don't the parents have to? Can you do that? Don't the parents have to?
Yeah, the parents can. That would be great if the parents would inform. I don't know if they know that they need to do that.
And the thing we call about building the block, where we're talking about working with your area, working with other areas, with county and them, those are some of the things that we talked about trying to do is invite people to the meetings so we could talk about and try to educate them and get them to understand what's going to take place and why they need to be involved. It won't change everybody's mind, but I think we'll be able to convince some of the parents that it's in their best interest of their child that you let go ahead and get these services, especially if they can see. I say if you can see this movement, you can see what has happened once these people took the kids and got them evaluated. I think that makes a big difference. But
Well, maybe so we don't have to do this heavy thinking. Let's just pitch it to the district because they got a whole general council and all of that. Where if it is something that they want to move forward with as a board, then if it's I was gonna say in statute, if it's in policy, then the district would have to figure it out. That's not my ministry with all of that. So maybe that could be a next step. But I think that's critical, and I think also I don't know where this will fit in, but I remember when board member Love was still actively engaged before she got sick. She had mentioned like also there being a special emphasis on children who end up going to like alternative school or like juvenile detention centers as well. For those staff persons to also know if the child had been lead poisoned, because that matters, especially in like alternative schools, juvenile detention centers, because you need to act accordingly, right? So I know she also mentioned that even at the point of entry, like when they do that assessment, before they go into a juvenile detention center, lead testing be a part of that intake process or whatever the appropriate terminology is. But that wouldn't fall with the district. I don't know where that would fall. I don't know who. I don't know. That might have to go to county commission and they have to figure that out because I don't know. Okay, but for the purposes of this, okay, so we do think that we need to bring the policy recommendations back and then the extra part around like some sort of collaboration where you're strategically learning, like if children have been exposed or have elevated levels and it being connected to their exceptional education program, their special education program. It needs to trigger eligibility. Because it's like you already got it on the pre-K kids. Why would it just, I don't understand. I'm like, that's not the only age you could be exposed, but you know. Okay, we're over time, so it's 7:34. So I'll try to move expeditiously, but we're almost done. So the last item in new business. So the update on the EPA lead and copper rule. So the lead and copper rule is still not slated to go in or be confirmed and go into effect until next year, which no one likes because it's a presidential election year. But nevertheless, um, the public comment period is supposed to open in October, just as a FYI. Um, yeah, when that information goes live, I'll make sure to share it out, and then like put it on social media and whatnot. But I would definitely encourage everybody to make comment on that. Um, even though we don't know what's going to happen with the presidential election, because you can get somebody that will completely gut it. So, but I don't know. But I'll make sure to keep that updated. My God. Um, Last section on announcements. So recommended members to the LPC. So there are two people. So I know Deravia from Black Seed Farms. Are y'all familiar with Black Seed? They do like urban ag. They have, oh, it's beautiful. It's in Uptown. So they do like a lot of work like with youth. It's so beautiful.
Nature products.
Uh-huh. They do all of these really awesome like community center things like about trying to get people of color like back outside. So she did complete her application and submitted her resume. So, we'll see what happens with that. And then also Frank, so I'm not sure when board member Love's term is up, but she got to chill on capacity because she does a lot. So I'm not sure when her term is up and if she wants to renew. But Frank also expressed interest. So if he does move forward, that would be good because you have another school board member that's on the LPC. So those are the two people that have moved forward. We still have vacancies on this commission, but essentially, I know they would rather for it to be more than one person that's brought forward because you have to go through the process to get it on the county commission agenda and all of that. So that's the update there. And and then oh yeah, I'm sorry. This to be on this commission. So for this commission, you have to be recommended by the mayor, and then the mayor submits his recommendation to county commission, and then county commission will vote either in favor or opposed for your appointment. Yeah. And the last thing is, do y'all know Miss Bradshaw, Doris Bradshaw, that did all the work with the depot? Just wanted to acknowledge her on the record. We did do a request. Well, we did one for the city and the county for a resolution. Councilwoman Easter Thomas did do the resolution to honor Doris Bradshaw, and then we made a recommendation to, no, excuse me, not Borman, Commissioner Thornton, Brittany Thornton, to also do a resolution to honor Doris Bradshaw. I need to follow up with her and see where we are with that. But I'm excited that Councilwoman Easter Thomas moved very quickly to get that resolution to honor her mom. But those are all my updates. I know, Chet, we said that we would swing back during announcements
Oh,
for
yeah,
you.
yeah, well,
Okay.
one of the things, and I gave one to your boss, I'll give you one too. That's on fluoride. In 2017, Fluoride Action Network, 2016, Fluoride Network filed a lawsuit against EPA. 2017, they actually got in court, and they were able to prove that fluoride did have some issues. EPA had no records to prove that it was safe for everybody. So the judge put it in abeyance, and he gave EPA time to do their research and their studies. Okay, well, EPA didn't want to release those studies, and so Florida Action Network went to the judge and told them that they've had 5 years. We've gotten a hold of those studies. Those studies are saying the same thing we know. We want them released. So the judge took it out of abeyance, and they announced a lot of things about the fluoride. The fluoride does cause the same damage as lead, and these are the facts. So I was just sharing that with you, just sharing that with everybody, because this has been an issue that's been something talked about, denied for a long time. And one of the things you'll see in this article that we did, we actually pulled the records where they went to the mayor's records and pulled the mayor's records. Now, first letter in here is to the doctor that tells him that I'll accept your apology. The mayor was getting ready to sue the doctor's son because he said the doctor had took a bribe. Okay, and so he agreed that since you apologize, I'm gonna drop that. But then they put fluoride. They had 4 fountains that they put non-fluoridated drinking fountains in the city. I don't know if you're from Memphis. Okay, well, I'm gonna give you one of these too, man. Here you go. You can read up on it. They put 4 fountains in. They were all in white communities. Okay, so the farms have been taken out, but then there's other things that's going on. So you just take a look at this. I want to share it with you. And it's something that we've got to talk about. We've asked, I guess, some women to turn the fountain back on. We asked them that 5-6 years ago, and they refused. This shows that fluoride isn't good for babies. It isn't good for pregnant women. And so these are statistics that you can take a look at and you can kind of see where we are. All right. But anyway, that's kind of what I had on the thing. And the minister, y'all think you met Minister Yahweh? I know you know Minister Yahweh. He passed not long ago. The day that he was on the Saturday, he was in the hospital. And I called him, and the news that came out about they had released that fluoride really was causing damage. And I got a chance to let him know that, and he died that night. But he was extremely happy because that's what he'd been fighting for a long time. He was the main person who's been saying that, hey, it's a problem. And the kind of fluoride we was using is really had an acid in it. It had acid, arsenic, and silver in it. And EPA filed a lawsuit against them about 4 years ago against that very company and fined them millions of dollars because they was allowing the stuff to mix. So what they use in Memphis is not what they use in Germantown and Bartlett. So no fluoride is good. That's what me and the minister fell out about. No fluoride is good. And always the position I was pushing, let's switch to what they're using out there in Germantown and Bartlett. And he didn't even like that conversation. I understand why, because no fluoride is good. Okay, but anyway, you have the statistics here. Read it, tell me what you think, and then we'll move on. Oh, let me pass that down there to my brother down there. You got one in there.
All right, well,
I appreciate it.
okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and end as I call the Shelby County Lead Prevention and Sustainability Commission to conclude at 7:41 p.m. We can't take a vote because we don't have quorum. But thanks everybody. Yay.